Fiona finally understood what Charlie meant by not quite. He was being generous. She wasn't not quite. She was not even close. Tristan was also in shock. He realized Charlie was controlling his core energy, deliberately making it flow backward in his body to create the illusion of heart disease, which had fooled his granddaughter. But reversing the flow of core energy in the body should be incredibly painful. Yet Charlie could not only control the flow of core energy in his body, but he could also reverse it and correct it at will. His expression was calm, with no sign of pain. This kind of energy core had to be the result of more than 50 years of training, maybe even more than 100 years. Tristan knew he had just met a hidden master. His granddaughter was being reckless, constantly provoking him. Luckily, Charlie was a gentleman. If she truly angered him, it would only take one move to send both him and his granddaughter to their graves, and they wouldn't even be able to fight back. So he glared at Fiona and said, "Mr. Charlie's cultivation level is extraordinary. You've seen it for yourself. Now apologize." After he spoke, Tristan quickly clasped his hands and bowed to Charlie. "I've done a poor job disciplining my granddaughter. Please, Master Wade, you must be the one to teach her a lesson." Fiona finally came to her senses. She understood that his medical skills were on a completely different level than hers, and she had to accept it. With her head bowed, she said, "I admit it. Your medical skills are better than mine." Charlie smiled and waved his hand dismissively. "Huh, practicing medicine is about helping people. There's no stronger or weaker. If I ever come across a difficult case I've never seen before, I might have to ask you for advice, Mr. Tristan." This made Tristan feel ashamed, but also filled him with even more admiration. It was obvious that Charlie's medical skills were far superior to his own, yet he was deliberately being humble to let him save face. That kind of character was not something you find in ordinary people. His medical skills had reached such a masterful level that you probably couldn't find anyone else like him in the entire United States. Tristan bowed to Charlie again and said with a serious expression, "I never expected that in my lifetime I would meet a master like you, Mr. Wade. I hope I can ask for your guidance in the future." Charlie took his hand and nodded slightly. Tristan was surprised and quickly said, "Thank you, Mr. Wade." Everyone else in the room was shocked as they watched the exchange between the two. He was already the top doctor in Oris Hill, yet here he was, humbly asking Charlie for advice. Everyone in the room was shocked. The #1 doctor in Oris Hill is highly respected wherever he goes. Even the major hospitals treat Tristan like royalty. But here he was acting like a student in front of Charlie, asking the master for advice. This was incredible. Fiona was also stunned, but she knew better than to say anything. Charlie glanced at Tristan and said, "Mr. Tristan, I believe you have an internal injury. Is that why you've let your granddaughter handle the patients?" "You could see my grandfather's internal injury?" A look of surprise flashed across Fiona's face, but she quickly composed herself. With Charlie's skills, she figured it was only natural that he could see it. Fiona said, "My grandfather has been in seclusion, healing his injuries. He hasn't been treating anyone this year. When Honor Smith came looking for him, my grandfather had to turn him away. But 2 days ago, a friend of my grandfather's sold him a magical medicine. He heard it was found right here in Oris Hill. My grandfather wanted to come and check it out, so he decided to stop by and see Grandpa while he was here." "What magical medicine?" Charlie was surprised, too. It was rare for a magical medicine to impress Tristan so much. Charlie wondered what kind of rare treasure it could be. Tristan quickly took a jewelry box out of his pocket, opened it carefully, and said, "This magical medicine cost me $5 million, but it's absolutely worth it. I've already taken half, and I'm currently refining the other half. I have it with me. Mr. Wade, please take a look." Seeing how much Tristan treasured this magical medicine, the crowd gathered around to see what it was that had so captivated the famous doctor. As soon as the jewelry box was opened, a strong medicinal scent filled the air. Inside was half of a dark herbal remedy pill. Tristan took a ceremonial dagger, carefully cut off a fingernail-sized piece, and handed it to the middle-aged man from the Smith family and Honor, letting them both try it. The two hesitated for a moment before putting the medical residue into their mouths. The residue melted on their tongues, and the expression on the face of the middle-aged man from the Smith family grew more and more surprised. "Mr. Finch, what kind of medicine is this? I always have a dull ache in my chest from an old fracture, but now the pain is completely gone." Honor was also stunned. "My lungs have always bothered me, but after eating just that tiny piece of medical residue, I feel better immediately." Tristan smiled and said, "Now you see how effective it is." The middle-aged man from the Smith family looked amazed and said to Tristan, "This elixir is incredible. If you could make more, I would pay a fortune for it." Tristan smiled bitterly. I've studied its formula, but I can't replicate it at all. All I know is that it's a form of alchemy that has been lost for ages. I'm afraid this half-pill of magical medicine is one of a kind." Charlie saw the half-pill and was stunned for a moment. Then a wry smile crossed his face. "Mr. Finch, you bought this medicine for $5 million? "Yes," Tristan smiled and said, "$5 million isn't too much. It would be worth $10 million to get your hands on a long-lost elixir like this. Mr. Wade, you can tell this pill is the real deal. My friend told me that the person who made it was Grand Master Sterling Rush, who was over 150 years old. My friend knelt at the gate of Grand Master Sterling Rush's home for 3 days and 3 nights. That's what it took to convince the master, and he bought it for $5 million. The day after my friend bought the medicine, the Grand Master left his home to wander the world. I'm afraid it'll be impossible to ever find him again." The middle-aged man from the Smith family sighed. "This old master sounds like an immortal master. Spending $5 million for an elixir from someone like that is a bargain." Fiona had just apologized to Charlie, and even though she was convinced of his medical skills, the thought that he was better than her grandfather still bugged her. When she saw the strange look on Charlie's face, like he was trying not to laugh, she got a little angry. "Hey, what's so funny?" she couldn't help but say. "You think this elixir is a joke? Like you could make one yourself?" Charlie was taken aback for a second. Seeing everyone looking at him, he had no choice but to say, "I made this pill. Mr. Tristan, your friend ripped you off." As soon as he said it, the entire room went silent. Dozens of eyes stared at him. Everyone was in shock. Tristan was frozen on the spot, unable to process what he'd just heard. After a moment, he said in astonishment, "Mr. Wade, did you really create these legendary elixirs?" Fiona's jaw dropped, and she looked as if her body was frozen solid. Charlie nodded and said casually, "This stuff isn't really a magical medicine. I just whipped it up to treat my father-in-law's bruises, and I was worried a full-strength dose would be too much for him, so I deliberately weakened the formula. What you have there are just semi-finished products." As soon as Charlie finished speaking, the crowd was stunned into silence once again. Tristan was so shocked by Charlie's explanation that he was speechless. His whole body, even his white beard, was trembling. He couldn't believe it. He thought this magical medicine was created by the legendary Grand Master. But it was actually made by the young man, Charlie, standing right in front of him. And according to Charlie, this was just a semi-finished product? If the semi-finished product is this powerful, then a fully refined pill would have to be at least twice as effective. The middle-aged man from the Smith family was dumbfounded, and then a wave of pure joy washed over him. He never dreamed that Warnia could find someone so incredibly powerful. If the Smith family could secure an alliance with him, it would be like striking gold. What's the one thing all rich and powerful people fear most? Death. No matter how much money you have or how much influence you wield, you can't enjoy any of it if you're not alive. If you have a connection to a master who can create magical medicine on a whim, extending your life is no longer just a fantasy. Take Cedric Smith, for example. If he could live for another 5 years, it would be an incredible blessing for the entire Smith family. Because Cedric Smith's reputation, his connections, and the foundation he built are far beyond what any of his descendants could hope to match. While the old master is alive, people have to show the family respect. But if he were gone, many of those people wouldn't give the Smith family the time of day. That's why the Smith family hoped their patriarch could live for as many years as possible. With him protecting the Smith family's interests, everything they do is twice as effective, with half the effort. Honor Smith, who had been looking down on Charlie this whole time, was also in shock. At the same time, a feeling of panic started to set in. Just moments ago, he was mocking him relentlessly, never imagining that Charlie was the real hidden master. Tristan couldn't help but clasp his hands together and bow, pleading. "Mr. Wade, I have been suffering from old injuries for years. If you would be so kind as to make a true magical medicine for me, I would gladly give you $10 million in cash." The middle-aged man from the Smith family couldn't help but step forward, bow respectfully, and say with a trembling voice, "Mr. Wade, if you ever decide to make that magic medicine again, please consider giving one to the Smith family. We would also be willing to give you $10 million in cash." Charlie replied calmly, "I don't need the money, and it's not a big deal to make more medicine. Since you're both sincere, I'll prepare some more in the future. I'll give you one then." "Mr. Wade, you are a true benefactor to my family," the middle-aged man said, his voice filled with excitement. He saw Charlie standing and quickly grabbed a stool, wiping it clean with his own sleeve. "Mr. Wade, please, have a seat." Honor also hurried over with a cup of herbal tea and presented it to Charlie respectfully. "Mr. Wade, please, have some herbal tea." Warnia watched all of this in silence, her heart reeling with shock. She was speechless. She never expected Charlie to possess such incredible power, and yet he was just a live-in son-in-law, completely unfazed by an offer of $20 million in cash. Why? Could it be that he was even more powerful than she could possibly imagine? But why would someone so powerful be willing to live as a humble, live-in son-in-law? Tristan Finch, the renowned doctor, also sighed from the bottom of his heart. "Mr. Wade, you truly are an immortal master. Your power, your character, your very presence. I'm afraid that even if I lived for another 100 years, I could never hope to catch up to you."